We're talking about the homeless in Siouxland series in the Journal. And Bruce, can you tell me the genesis?
It's been how do we approach this and what is the story here? We had people who said to us, you know, there are so many people panhandling downtown, and they said, why is that? What's going on? And we found that there was something more here.
We got everyone involved. Every reporter has a byline story. As more reporting was done, then we started to narrow the focus and say, how could we present this?
And the people there, very willing and approachable?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there was a little hesitation at first, but after we were there a while, just more and more people were willing to share their stories.
And I think one of the things that most surprised me was just how open they were and how glad they were that someone was just listening to them.
You know, they're kind of hard things to hear you know, the reality of how the lives are for these people. Mine, so to speak, was to be a success story, or you know, someone who rebounded. Jerry Hernandez was the guy from Sioux City, and he's a California native, and he actually had been homeless twice in his life. The second time they were homeless, he had a family with a few young children, and they were living out of a hotel. It's been about, I believe, 7-8 years since that happened, and he's very happy with it. Feels like he's, you know, very dialed into the community and continues to do the volunteerism.
You and Justin Wan, one of our photographers, went out on a day in the life of a homeless person.
We found McDonald Hoskins, and he moved to Sioux City about a year and a half ago for some more opportunities down here. He ended up getting injured, he lost his job, so what he does every night is he'll go into the park restroom, kind of clean up the place, and then they'll put down cardboard to kind of cover up the wetness. I asked him if it makes it any more comfortable, and he said no, it's still just like sleeping on the ground. He's trying to get back onto his feet. He said he'd been clean for 3 months, and he was pretty proud of that. He would kind of tear up, you know, when he talked about being under the influence of drugs and just how that had affected his life.
We really had all the different reasons why somebody might be homeless. Domestic violence, addiction, mental illness, those are the big ones.
These are people, and they're there for the circumstances. Those of us that aren't struggling with mental health or addiction may not be able to get a grasp of.
As the Journal dove into this project, homelessness, there was a meeting that came up that you got wind of, and you said, we've got to cover this.
An interview I had done with Frank Lemire, he had mentioned that he was working on getting a meeting set up with representatives from the Indian Health Service and possibly Congressman Steve King here in Sioux City to meet with the Siouxland Street Project, which is a coalition of community leaders that's been meeting for some time now discussing the homeless situation. They are looking at a lot of potential solutions. Frank will tell you they're nowhere near where we should be. They're looking at every idea, looking into a lot of other cities and what they've done, and trying to figure out what would work best for Sioux City and then how to implement it.
You know, our job, you meet a lot of people that you might not otherwise meet, and that certainly was the case, you know, working on this series.
They're seeing what kind of impact we can have as a newspaper on a community and what our people and what our readers are all up to, and helping them understand an issue that maybe we just gloss over on a daily basis. And so I think it is teaching us something, and it is telling us maybe there's a different way too of how we approach issues and how we approach storytelling.